All right, hello guys. And yes, for any of the people that caught me earlier or when it for some reason sent out an alert that I was live, it's because I pressed start streaming when I was trying to stop recording for a video that I haven't put out yet this week. And yeah, so it may or may not have tricked some of you guys into thinking I was going live because it also stayed there after I'd already stopped the stop streaming button because I did it like instantly. But yeah, weird things, weird things. Also, hi, Matthew. Hi, Ghost. Hi, Jesse. How are you guys? How are you guys? Hi, Zeno. But yes, I did do a little bit of a Frodo. I'm sorry, Frodo. I was delayed. Or Gandalf, I should say. But yeah. So, let's talk some, episode 4. I think, for me, the second best episode so far. I've done a lot of talking about episode 4 in the last, 24 hours, as I've done 3 live streams, recorded 2 videos that relate to this topic. So let's just hop right in. Let's talk about episode 4. And yeah, so we started out episode 4 with the Harrenhal plot, probably the most consistent and best plot, I would say, right now. I'm hooked to the screen every time we see Harrenhal and Daemon, because you never know what you're going to get, right? What is Daemon going to see in these visions? Him trying to kind of rally the Riverlands behind him. It kind of feels like that plot line with him and Corlys, where he's trying to, go his own way, trying to find his own power and being in charge. He doesn't like being underneath people. And we're seeing some of that kind of play out here, but with a different spin, because Harrenhal is making him kind of think about his past actions and all of that. But we see, Rhaenyra, the young Rhaenyra, Millie, of course, the goat, in the opening scene on the throne, and kind of just taunting Daemon, talking about this is, he made her this way, and now he's trying to, destroy her and all these things, because, again, we just saw how Daemon is undermining Rhaenyra. He's not really fully backing her. He doesn't like being ordered around. He wants to be the person in charge, and so a lot of symbolism there, right? And also it kind of mirrors the necklace scene that we saw in season 1 with Daemon putting the necklace on Rhaenyra, kind of, again, talking about the grooming on Rhaenyra that was done, and maybe how Daemon feels guilt about those things. Maybe, I don't know, because Daemon's still kind of all over the place, but being in his head is very fascinating to look at these ideas. But then Rhaenyra brings up the one thing you don't bring up with Daemon, that, Viserys loved her more than him, and that's why she got the crown. So yeah, that then makes Daemon kill her, of course, but she's not really dead, right? She's still talking while being just a head, which is quite spooky, again, bringing the Harrenhal vibes to the forefront. Really liked this moment. I really liked, what we got with Daemon here as he's in the throne room. You also get a kind of a callback to, Viserys' crown and how Daemon put that back on his brother's head in episode 8. Just a lot of nice moments back to some of the great character moments throughout season 1. I really like the way they started it, as that kind of gets us to the next part of Daemon's scene, where he's woken by Simon Strong as he's informed of Rosby and Stokeworth's fall. Again, the opening of this is kind of to just kind of give you a little bit of an information dump, what happened off screen from episode 3 to episode 4. Criston Cole has kind of been rallying men all in the Crownlands, building up an army. And as of right now, they're not sure where, Cole's headed. Is he coming to Harrenhal? Right, it makes sense, given it's, what Daemon went for. It's the key to holding the Riverlands. It makes the most sense in terms of housing people. Makes sense if Cole was to go against Daemon at Harrenhal, or at least try to take it. Be very stupid if he did so, but, that's what, they're kind of thinking. They're debating what is Cole's real goal right now. And also, we get to see, I think, another very fascinating scene. Also, before we get to the Tully and Daemon scene, we also see a random goat. And there seems to be, and Matthew really brought a lot of attention to this, especially in the episode review that we did last night, that there's a lot of emphasis placed on animals. And I'm kind of considering doing a video on it. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate it into my schedule right now, because I have so many videos I want to put out that there's just not I just can't put out a video every day. It's just not possible. So maybe it'll be a video for next week if we get more information into Harrenhal. But it seems like it's possible there could be Alys Rivers could be spying on Daemon through animals. Maybe she is like a warg and a seer, like kind of Bran and Jojen. That's very possible. Add to the magic of what's going on in Harrenhal, because Harrenhal kind of feels like its own character. The Weirwoods are given kind of a lot of emphasis here, given the way Daemon's bed is made, that it's made from, heart trees and stuff like that. A lot of emphasis is put on animals and kind of magic in this episode. But we then see just a fascinating scene where it's just Daemon is just grilling this Oscar Tully, like saying, yeah, why don't you just kill your grandfather, take your inheritance so you're actually of value to me, that you can command the Riverlords to back my claim. Obviously, Oscar Tully is not going to kill his grandfather. He's not Daemon. And so Daemon just kind of gets fed up with this. He's just like, okay, well, I don't need you then, right? I'm going to go get the Blackwoods. They are people of action and all that. And so that'll kind of play out later out in the episode. But I just felt for the kid, imagine you are a kid representing your entire house, which is one of the more powerful houses in Westeros, and you have to treat with Daemon Targaryen. I think that would scare a lot of people. All right, moving back to chat. More to my theorizing about Alys Rivers coming. Yes. Hi, Mohammed. How are you? I rewatched the episode and the ending still hits. Agreed, I think it was really good. Aegon, where were you? You weren't there to comfort Ashley last night. Maybe she was on the stream and you were busy getting down. I get it. I don't know if I feel like grooming a child is something that can be forgiven. No, I think Daemon's actions can't be forgiven at this point. Think about how many people he's murdered, the actions he's done. There isn't really a come to Jesus moment, if you will. This is more of us seeing the complexities of Daemon, right? It's more of getting why he does the things he does, making it more understandable of who the character he is. There's no coming back. The damage is done. Just like Rhaenys in episode 9. The damage is done. You can't undo the action, regardless of what you believe or whatnot. What's Alys Rivers' role in all of this? Well, for now, it just seems like she's just manipulating people, or kind of being like a Larys Clubfoot, but it seems like with more magical power and element to that, right? She's trying to, what a lot of people are doing in this world, trying to gain power, trying to gain influence, right? If she can, she's already giving Daemon drinks and things. If she can get closer to Daemon, that's all for the better. Kind of like a Missaria type, interesting character. But I've already kind of noted, John, I think Alys Rivers could be a Green Sea or a warg like Bran. Everyone is calling Aegon an idiot this episode, but I feel bad for him. He's treated like he's property from everyone. Yeah, I mean, Aegon, I don't think he's an idiot at all, right? He wasn't told the plan. He wasn't told, okay, what is our actual plan? Aemond is going to bait out the dragons, whatever they send. It was hoping it was going to be Rhaenyra, and that Aemond was going to take him out. Well, nobody's telling Aegon that. So Aegon, throughout this entire episode, feels kind of bogged down because nobody is telling him anything. Everybody's plotting on their own because they don't respect Aegon. That's the key part of this. Nobody respects Aegon enough to keep him in their plans or do all these things. Think about how Alicent talks down to him. I feel bad for Aegon in this episode because he's in kind of a teenager, way of life where he's still figuring all these stuff out. And yes, he's done bad actions. He's done things that are not great. But at the same time, you also have to put into context, he didn't really have a father figure in Viserys, right? He doesn't have a mother relationship that is very healthy at all. His mother doesn't seem to give two shits about him. So, yeah, I do feel bad for Aegon in this role. And this, I guess season, I would say, but as a whole. But yeah, John, I won't talk about spoilers, but she will have a bigger role later on. Imagine if Meleys lived and the dance didn't happen in general. I could have claimed one of them. Aegon. If Balerion was still there when you were there, I mean, I could see it. I could see it. Hi, Dakota. How are you? I think Aegon should take a dragon. I think it'd be great. It'd be great for getting more women, Aegon. I mean, people love dragons. I think Alys may have given Daemon a potion made from weirwood paste. Definitely a possibility. See, what I thought she was going to give him was Shade of the Evening. That's what I thought she was going to give him, but we're unclear as to what actually was given to him. I was drowning in my cup's grease. That episode was hard to watch for me. You know what? That's fair enough. What do you think the dynamics would be between Aemond and Aegon moving forward, knowing that Aemond tried to kill... Oh, that relationship's over. I mean, there is no relationship left now. Aegon, if he gets to a position where... Like it's a weird position, because Aegon can't just, have Aemond killed. He can't, go against his brother, because Vhagar is the only reason they have a chance, right? Given the condition, Sunfire's in. His sister is not shown to really be much of a dragon rider, especially in war. His only other dragon outside of Vhagar is with Daeron, and Daeron is in the south dealing with kind of the civil war stuff going on in the Reach. So, unfortunately for Aegon, he's just going to have to put up with Aemond. I mean, there's nothing else he can do. Maybe after the war, that's when he could try to get him killed or all that, but the relationship is completely gone now. If there was ever any type of, love or, brotherly feelings between the two, that's gone. This is now all just political at this time. Blackfires for life? Fair. Guerrilla attacks as Vhagar is the most powerful weapon in all of A Song of Ice and Fire. Balerion is better, but She gave him a potion made from Jojen paste. Yeah, Jojen got fed. I feel Aemond would blame it on Rhaenys, and Aegon probably won't remember what happened fully. That's a fair possibility, because I think one thing, if we're going to predict, I'll talk about this with my preview when we do that next Sunday, is I think what's going to be key is Aemond is going to, control the information right now. I think he's going to control the narrative of what happened. Because he's going to be able to fly back to King's Landing so quickly, he's going to be able to say, oh, yeah, Rhaenys and Aegon were interlocked, and that's what caused, that injury. I was trying to hit Rhaenys, but ended up doing some friendly fire. Maybe not even saying that, right? That it was just, it's dragons fighting. You can't control what happens to Aegon's dragon. Aegon was already getting beat up anyway. Rhaenys was beating Aegon's ass even before Vhagar got there. So I think that's what's going to end up happening, more or less, is that Aemond is going to control the narrative and spin it the way he wants. Kind of similar to the way, the Luke stuff happened, right? He could have said, oh, yeah, it was an accident, all this stuff, but he didn't. He went with it that, yeah, he killed him. So, I don't know. Yeah, Corlys' role in the show should drastically increase based off what we just saw from episode 4. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have a lot of questions, but I don't know. God, I never thought my hatred for Aemond would increase. Literally gave more meaning to Aemond the Kinslayer. Yep. I like that the fights look like the dragons were actually dancing. Yeah, that was a nice touch. It was a nice touch. It was also, nice to see, you could see the different dynamics in, how long people had been with their dragons, how good of dragon riders they were. When you see, Sunfire and Rhaenys, fighting, you can tell that Meleys just has more experience with Rhaenys, right? They're just more, I guess, calculated. Even in, and we're going to talk about this later on, but with Vhagar, it's different, because Vhagar is so massive, so much bigger than Meleys, that Meleys has to outwork Vhagar so much more than, a dragon, around her own size. So, yeah, and that's the thing with Vhagar is, okay, you could, get some good hits in, you could seem like you're winning at any point, but it's the same thing as, Oberyn versus the Mountain. You screw up once, and Vhagar is going to kill you, right? So that's the thing, right? Vhagar is basically the Mountain of this situation, where it's you can be faster, you can, have more experience, all these things, but it doesn't matter. If you fuck up one time, sorry to cut it for my language. I see Aegon having a moment with Alys probably at the end of the season telling her what happened. Definitely could be. Aegon, you tried to kill me. Aemond, nah, if I tried, you wouldn't be here bitching at me. That's fair. Honestly, I'm going to miss Aegon. He's going to be out. Yeah, and that's the one thing that sucks, is that I think, as of right now, if I was going to give awards out to, the best acted characters or the best characters for the first 4 episodes, I'd say Aegon. I think the performance of Aegon has been so good in the first 4 episodes. Definitely been a standout of the season. Interesting, Radical. I did not know that. All right, let's continue on. So we then get to Rhaenys, and we get this really good scene. I actually just made a video kind of talking about this scene because I think a lot of casual viewers might be kind of confused with what's going on. But we see Rhaenys kind of talking to Alyn, and she seems to already pick up on something's a little fishy here. She kind of notices and because why would Corlys not tell her about, oh, this guy that saved, his life? Well, there's a reason, and Rhaenys kind of picks up on it instantly. Like looking at his face, he looks very familiar. She notes that he's like handsome, for instance, and it seems very much that she realizes that this is probably Corlys' son. I'm assuming that's the way they're going with it, not that it's Laenor's son, because that's also a rumor in the book, but it seems more than likely it's Corlys. But yeah, I like the way that it's like it kind of plays off a little differently, right? Where Rhaenys like, yeah, well, you shouldn't be hiding him, right? You should be lifting him up for, his service and all this stuff, which is really interesting because it kind of goes into what's going to happen in the future, right? Corlys might be influenced by that. And you also got to put into context the conversation that happened in the last episode between Rhaenys and Corlys. There's a real big problem as to who's going to come after Corlys. Joffrey is still a young boy. He doesn't really know any of the ways of like the Velaryons and having naval power. Rhaena doesn't, have a dragon. She also is not good with ships, really. So they're kind of left in a weird position. Who is going to take the mantle after Corlys dies? And it becomes even more perilous now because Rhaenys is dead. If Corlys was to die, it's not looking good for House Velaryon. So a lot of foreshadowing here. I really liked this scene as well. And that leads us kind of to, the Black Council that we're going to see later on. As they're kind of all messed up. What do? Rhaenyra is gone. And Corlys notes, like, what is she up to? And it kind of points to the plotline he didn't like in episode 3 with Rhaenyra. I keep getting, like, caught in my words when I say Rhaenys and Rhaenyra. Thanks, George, for making names so similar. But Rhaenyra's been gone, and Rhaenyra and Alicent had this whole thing that I've talked about at length, why it didn't work for me. I'm not going to really talk about it anymore. Doesn't make sense to keep harping on it, but she's just left, right? She hasn't told anybody. She just left. And so you're all in a precarious position because Cole is taking castle after castle. Why should people follow you as a ruler if you're not going to protect them? They have offered, their swords, their resources to you, and in return, you're not helping them. Their castles are being put to the sword, all these things. It's a real issue if you're someone like Jace, if you're like Baela, if you're Rhaenys or Corlys, people that are kind of in charge, you have a really big problem as well. Because also then Daemon is gone. You don't know what he's doing either. So yeah, there's a lot of problems because Rhaenyra is not there. We also then go to another scene where we see Alicent fiddling with the dragon of kind of the Valyrian set that they had, and Aegon had already broken it, but one of the dragons has kind of been left over. Good foreshadowing to the dragon battle we're going to see as well, but she ends up breaking it on accident. Like, Alicent, really? Really? Like, come on. Why is everybody messing up Viserys' awesome miniature set? You know how expensive those miniatures are. Alicent, like, gosh. You just can't do anything right. That's all I'm saying. She then gets some moon tea from Orwyle, and she has, like, an interesting question to Orwyle. It's like asking about the succession. Like, did Viserys ever mention anything about Aegon to you about it? And you can see that because of the conversation with, Rhaenyra, she's having doubts, right? Like, was there actually this Aegon's dream? She's trying to research it, trying to find information. Was that actually what he was talking about? Because if that's the case, she kind of started this whole conflict for no reason, right? It should have been Rhaenyra on the throne, not Aegon. I've talked about that I don't really like that idea. I think it's quite obvious that in the first season, Alicent and Otto were already prepping Aegon to become king long before Aegon's dream thing popped out of Viserys' mouth. But I get it, right? They've already established that plot line. You might as well just continue going on, even if I don't like kind of what they did. But that leads us to the Black Council, which I've already kind of talked a little bit about, but it's all an array. Rhaenyra's gone. All these people want to act. Cole is taking all these castles. How are they supposed to do nothing, right? And that's one of the things that's interesting. Is like, doing nothing is one of the hardest things. Rhaenyra and Aegon will be put to the test in this episode. One of them does nothing and stays back, and the other, well, they don't do nothing, and they end up almost dying because of it. Or, well, on the edge of dying. So, yeah, that's really the whole point of this council, right? And it's also to show, like, when Rhaenys is gone, what's going to happen with, okay, Rhaenyra, if she's not here to rule, who's going to take up those responsibilities? And so we're seeing Jace, Balak have to kind of step up and fill in those roles. And Rhaenys is trying to, have her authority over the council, but people are kind of shutting her down. And then Corlys comes in, right? Corlys is probably going to be doing a lot of this going forward, but he shuts it down and talks about their petty attempts to take power, because in a lot of ways it is a power grab. It's people seeing their chances to gain power. Think about what we talked about in, was it episode 3, I believe, where they're like, maybe Rhaenyra should, leave, right? Because there's assassination attempts on her life now. Maybe they should let them govern the realm. There's power grabs there. People are trying to seek advancement. But, yeah, so that'll kind of get us into the Kristen Cole plotline. But let me answer some chat and stuff. I kind of went on there for a little bit of time. Whoa, 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 Dakota, you can't call me out. You can't call me out and then use the word. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, this episode was renamed The Red Dragon and the Gold. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. Do you think Aegon will be non-existent for the rest of the season after this? Pretty much. I mean, there's not much he's going to be able to do, Joey, right? I mean, he's in a horrible state. And again, we're going to probably see it, but you got to remember, he just got burnt to a crisp. He has armor on, right? That armor is going to melt into, like, his body. So, I don't know. The way Vhagar be coming out of nowhere on these dragons make me question how Vhagar is. Vhagar, in my opinion, was given to be very slow, right? If we see Sunfire and Melees, how quick they came into combat, Vhagar seems to be a bit more of a lumbering beast. But still, he is quite quick. It's not like, he's terribly slow. It's still a dragon, but I think most of the other dragons are going to be much quicker than Vhagar. It's a shame this episode was the most screen time Rhaenys got this season. Yeah, I think Rhaenys was an underdeveloped character. I think we should have gotten more of her in season 1. I think it's more of a issue of season 1, not of season 2, that Rhaenys was just not used to her fullest in this show. And also, I think episode 9 really hurt her. It really hurt her. Now, that isn't to say I didn't, enjoy, watching the character of Rhaenys, because I love the character of Rhaenys from Fire and Blood. So, like, even during the fight, right, with Rook's Rest, I'm sitting there with my dad. He doesn't know what's going to happen, and I'm still, like, sitting there, like, rooting for Melees. I'm like, Melees, beat some ass. Sorry, Dakota. Excuse my language again. But, yeah. I like how every scene matters. Yeah, agreed. I think they've done a good job of that outside of the big moments. I talked about this in, some of my videos that are going to be coming out this week, whether exclusive or a video is going to come out tomorrow. Just the inconsistency of the big moments and the just all the controversy around big moments, that to me is what's holding the show back. But Robbie, I think that's a great theory. I think Aegon will show up before episodes end. I mean, I think we could see, like, bits and pieces of things, but it's not going to be like he's a main character like he was at the beginning of the season, right? He's going to take a significant drop in screen time. Agreed. I'm sitting there with Jace, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, Jace, your mom, sometimes she just makes really stupid decisions. I mean, and then they try to justify it by, oh, it's Aegon's dream. That's why I went. We had to make sure we could get peace. And if we can't, well, then we tried. It's like, yeah, but it takes somebody with 2 brain cells to realize that there's, like, not going to be peace. Like you have to have so little brain cells to not comprehend the situation going on to feel like, oh yeah, there's still a chance for peace. Like, no, I hate to tell you this, but the king, the guy on the other side, you assassinated his heir. Like, Rhaenyra, you didn't, but your side did. The public believes you killed his son. They then, in turn, tried to assassinate you. What part of this makes you think you can have... Episode 3, man. I hate episode 3. I mean, I like episode 3, but I don't like the ending. Uh, Vhagar is so powerful, it's hard to picture her dying, even though I know, well, maybe she does. No spoilers. No worries, Grease. I have the same problem with Osha and Asha. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's why they changed it. That's why they changed it in the show. I still don't like that change. Agreed, Matthew. Also, one of my favorite characters, I think probably my favorite character of season 2, in terms of a character I like, is Jace. Jace is probably my favorite character. Well, I hope you're doing all right, Jim. Stay safe with the hurricane and such. But it's a good episode. When you get the chance to watch it, it is definitely a good one. Hands off the Kingo's leg. Exactly, Fizzle. Hi, Bixie. I hope I said that right. But hello, how are you? Can confirm miniatures are not cheap. Yeah. My friend has a 3D printer, so it's a little, a little bit, cheaper, but he paid a lot of money for the 3D printer, so my Witch King helmet, which it's off screen, you guys can't see it, but that was made with kind of that was made very arts and craftsy. I mean, Viserys spent more time on that Lego set than his other kids. I'd say destroy. Well, Ghost, if you had Viserys' kids, would you really want to spend time with them either? I mean, you got Helena, who's just kind of weird. Aegon's jerking off outside of windows at that age. Aemon's just like a psychopath. I mean, I don't know. Otto, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. A lot of Rhaenyra's counsel is usually right. I can see complaints about the sack of Dusky being cut when we didn't need it. Yeah, we don't need to see it. Radical. I agree. We just don't need to see it. Like, I don't know, because I know Voice of Old Town. I didn't get to watch all of his video before I came on stream, came on stream. He made a video about controversies again in House of the Dragon season 4, or not season 4. Can't speak. Episode 4. But I don't really think there's any major controversies in the episode, like outside of maybe Aemond betraying Aegon, but I felt like that perfectly made sense, so I don't know. Hi, No Sage, how are you? Cole looks so weird cutting that dude's heads off. I thought we were going to get like a Theon moment where he didn't actually cut his head off in one blow. I thought that's where we were going to get there, but we did not. I hope we see what Aegon looks like. I don't know if I want to see that. I mean, I do, but I don't. How do you think the show did with Rhaenys? Was she a great? No, she was not a good adaptation. Radical, she was not a good adaptation at all. I mean, there's so much more they could have explored with the character. Episode 9 of season 1 killed her character. Because then everything that happens in season 2, where you're sitting here going, Rhaenys is preaching peace and all this stuff and trying to, have restraint. This falls flat when you think about Rhaenys' actions. Wiley, I do agree. I think they could have done something different maybe for Melee's death, but I don't think it's that crazy. Right? I don't think it's anything bad. I think it's just, I think it was good. Rhaenys survived the fall. Well, we didn't see the body exactly, I don't think, so it's possible. Do you see Daemon sticking around Harrenhal all season? Yes. I think he'll be there probably for the rest of the season. Or at least in the area, right? Like in the Riverlands. I think he'll be in the Riverlands pretty much the rest of the season. No way you lose track of those massive wings in an open space. So, Wiley, here's what I would say to that, right? Is that, one, Melee's and Rhaenys, when you see the episode, when they pass Vhagar, as Vhagar's gone to the ground, she's not looking at Vhagar, right? She's looking this way. Vhagar is like down that way, right? She is not seeing what's going on with Vhagar until she turns around. But by the time she turns around, it's been a while. And so you also got to then factor in the idea that there's smoke everywhere. Rhaenys herself is struggling to see like things below her, above her. She just can't see Vhagar. And then Vhagar is hiding behind the castle more or less. So yeah, I think that was handled, good. I don't think it was anything bad or anything, but yeah. I was watching a reaction channel where they said if Rhaenys dies, they're done. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of crazy to me. Rhaenys is a character I wanted more of. I loved every time she was on screen outside of episode 9. but her character, like, didn't really have, like, that much of a complex character. She didn't have, like, as much as I was hoping we would get of her. But, yeah, I don't know. Oh, that one's fine, Dakota? Okay. Honestly, the only reason I support Show Rhaenyra is because Jace is her heir. I honestly think Jace would be a good ruler, better than Rhaenyra. I agree. Aegon, help me, brother. Aemond, long live the king. Yep. She needed to know there was no other path, Grease. Yeah. I mean, okay. Let me think. Let's throw another stupid thing out there for a second. So let's say Rhaenyra is killed, because everything's around this Aegon's dream thing, right? Let's say she's killed, going to King's Landing, right? Whether that's the mob catches her, because the mob doesn't like Rhaenyra either. They spun that tale now that they don't like Rhaenyra either. Or anybody, like, gets her, Aegon beheads her, whatever, the war, whatever. Aegon's dream dies with her. So, actually, I guess she told a little bit to, well, she didn't really tell Daemon. She just said there was Aegon's dream to Daemon. He just doesn't know what it means, I don't think, from what I remember. So, she risked, I don't know why it sounds weird. Everything. Aegon's dream, all this stuff, so she could have a chat with Alicent that meant nothing. So, I don't know. Do we think the Winter of Wolves next episode with Jace going to the Twins? I could see it, not in the next episode. I think we'll see kind of the Winter Wolves maybe the last 2 episodes. Rules of writing. Don't have 2 characters with a name that starts with the same letter. George R. Martin, hold my beer. Hey, it's realistic, though. It is realistic. Daron is a good kid. Yeah. Well, Daron, hey, so did the showrunners. So it's fine. More Adam and Alyn next episode? Yes. I think we're going to get progressively more of them. Bro said he doesn't want to spend time with his autistic daughter because she's kind of weird. I'm just saying, and it's not because she's autistic, by the way. I'm saying it because she has, like, no emotion and she's a seer. That's what I'm coming from. But, you know. Rhaenyra said in the first episode that she wanted Aemond. Did she forget that when she tried to sue for peace, or did she think they would just let her kill him? Again, just more reason that doesn't make sense. I'm just saying. I hope Aegon looks like Two-Face from The Dark Knight. Yeah. The season was kind of disappointing me so far. The adaptation ain't adapting for me, but I still have faith. Chrissy, I definitely get your point, right? I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't think it's been, like, super disappointing, but, like, we haven't taken many steps above season 1. Like, we've kind of stayed in the season 1's level of quality, which isn't, like, a bad thing, because that means at least we're in, like, I think good territory. Like, I'd give season 1 like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. But I was hoping we were going to take a step up. You know, we were going to stop making stupid decisions. And so far we've made, like, I would say a couple bad decisions. Hello, Ian. Hello. I do remember you. You have a very distinct name, but welcome back. Has it really been years? I feel like it hasn't been years, Ian. The ending almost had me bawling. That's fair. Was Rhaenys heading back home when Vhagar sidetracked her? Yeah, it could be possible. It could have been one of those things where, like, Rhaenys wasn't seeing Vhagar, so she's like, maybe let's head home. Meleys is kind of messed up because she is heading towards the water, and, you know, if you're going to Dragonstone, you would be heading towards the sea. So maybe, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I wish Daemon would be present for the sowing of the seeds. Maybe he will. Maybe they'll change it. Technically, Dakota, he would. I like Rhaenys, but her character is being a cool. Yeah, she just doesn't have a lot going for her character. Aemon has the cat's paw dagger. Do you think he will piece out the Vision as well? I don't think so. I kind of hope not. I just don't like the whole Aegon's dream and the dagger thing. It seems like a cheap way of just connecting it to Game of Thrones, but maybe he will. I don't know. Yes, I did see that in the trailer with the head of Melees being paraded through the city. That is actually horrifying because I won't lie, Melees was never my favorite dragon, but I really think House of the Dragon, the team, they really did a great job with the design of Melees. Melees looked beautiful in episode 4. Ander, fair enough. Let the hate just fuel you for the next episode. 2 years, Hot D made it feel long. Fair enough. How many seasons will this show go for? Probably like 4 or 5 would be my guess, Ian. Cole getting knocked out worried me we'd miss the end of the battle like Tyrion. Nah, they could never do that. Do you think Nettles will be? No, Nettles is not in the show. Ander, it's like 100. I would say it's like 99.9%. There is no Nettles. Imagine Rhaenyra asking Alicent for peace and Alicent agreeing to help him, and then they just looking at each other like, no what? But even if Alicent wanted peace, she had no power. Yeah, Alicent had no power. That's the whole part of it. Like, that's my biggest issue is like, Rhaenyra can't be stupid enough to realize or not realize that her getting peace with Alicent doesn't mean shit. Like, it doesn't. Yeah, that's fair, Zeno. I know people like Aegon's Dream. I'm just like, I don't know. It just feels kind of like it came out of nowhere to me. But I don't know. Mostly because I didn't know about GOT before. Yeah, from a book reader's perspective, it's kind of different because there's been nothing that alluded to it in any regard, and you can still pass it off because, you know, we're never in the side of the head of like any of the main Targaryens that would have known that information. You know, in Fire and Blood's through the Maester's point of view. So it makes sense that you wouldn't like hear anything about it. It just feels like something that like was added in to connect Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. That's how it always came off for me. The season isn't bad, but the whole war still feels like it's just getting started in episode 4 of 8. I'm really hoping they don't drag this out too long, take liberties to the ending of the war. So, Chrissy, again, I think a lot of people have had this issue with the show that it's taken a while to get the war going, and I haven't had that issue because at the end of kind of episode 10 for season 1, there was still a lot to be figured out, right? And so, of course, you want people to not just jump into war right away. It is kind of the way I look at it. And so they took a little bit of time to develop the characters, and I'm actually a big fan of that. That's why I liked episode 2 so much. Could Alys take Nettle's role in the show besides Rhaena? I think there's definitely a possibility where we're going to see, like, 2 different characters maybe fulfilling the arc of Nettles, where maybe Daemon is like cheating on Rhaenyra with like Alys, for instance, and then also is like with his daughter a lot, and Rhaena. That could be definitely that could fill that gap of where we get maybe that plot point with Rhaenyra and Daemon. Yeah, Ryder. I think a lot of people probably have that same opinion. I don't have that opinion. I think like episode 3 is right between 2 of the best episodes of probably the series as a whole. But yeah, it's weird. It's one of my biggest complaints right now is it feels like every episode of House of the Dragon we don't know what quality we're getting. Is it going to land on a terrible like controversial moment, or is it going to just be good? That's the issue right now is the consistency. Which is more forced, Aegon's Dream Dagger or Dany's eggs? Dany's eggs. I made a video about that, and I just don't understand why you would put that in there. It just, I think, I didn't actually, like, watch the video, but I saw Red Team Reviews thumbnail for, like, why do they keep doing this, or whatever, stop doing this House of the Dragon, and I couldn't agree more. Stop trying to connect House of the Dragon with Game of Thrones with stuff that doesn't really make sense with the like book lore, right? Like, how did we ever get to this situation where, given the way House of the Dragon presented it, these eggs being taken with Rhaena is not like it was a secret thing. There were at least like 40, 50 people that probably saw that happen. This isn't secret information. This would be very public information after a while. So, like, it just doesn't add up to me. Like, why would you contradict one of the probably like the most concrete theory in Fire and Blood? Like the Alyssa Farman story of that being Dany's eggs is one of those where it's like, it's like widely accepted that that's where Dany's eggs came from. Like George hasn't confirmed it, but it's like, come on, we know it's very convenient. It's 3 eggs that end up around the area. Specifically, she goes to Pentos and then Bravos. The whole plot around it with Jaehaerys, and apparently that's not Daenerys. Like I made a whole thing where it's like House of the Dragon canon. Maybe the Dany's eggs is actually from Rhaenyra. Book canon, way different. But I don't know. Hi, Ashley. How are you? How are you recovering from the trauma? Does this show have an opportunity to ever be better than Game of Thrones, or is the jury absolute in that it cannot be? I don't want to say it can't, but I think, what I've seen so far, it's going to be hard to do so. Just because this show doesn't have as strong as foundations as the core of Game of Thrones did. So, I don't know. Like, because right now, I'd say season 2 is probably about an 8 out of 10. You have 2 episodes that would lean to me like towards like 9 out of 10s, and 2 episodes that are like around 7.5 to 7. So I don't think we'll ever get to that point. I think it's very interesting when you look at like critics, for instance, and you see those. I've seen this on Twitter or X so many times now at this point, where it's like, oh, these episodes are getting rated really highly. And then you see episodes from like season 6 and 7 at the top of the highest rated like Game of Thrones episodes. It's like, okay, doesn't matter. I don't know. I personally have yet to see a House of the Dragon episode that has even touched some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. So right now, it's possible, but we got a lot of work to do. Yes, I agree. You can't just have a war, right? You can't have every episode be a war. You need it to be built up to. Like, think about, for instance, Clash of Kings, right? Clash of Kings in season 2 in the show, you don't really see any battles outside of like the Blackwater, and that's like the prime of battles going on. So, next episode should be called Aftermath. Yeah, I agree. I don't think so, Andrew. I think her accent is going to stay the same. I'm glad. Radical. Don't feel like you need to. But if you do want to support, that's up to you. That's up to you. I appreciate everybody that supports me as always. So, Grease, do you think Rhaenyra knew about Alyn and Adam, or just Alyn? She at least knows about Alyn. I don't think she knows about Adam, but because she seems like this was like the first time of her actually seeing Alyn and seeing his features. I made a video actually on this, Ashley, I think it's going up Friday. For members, it's already up, but yeah. So I do think she knows Alyn is Corlys's. Just based upon Laenor, seems like he's gay. I've kind of teetered with the idea maybe he was bisexual, but at least in the show it doesn't seem so, because he says to Rhaenyra he tried with women and he just couldn't do it. So, even Rhaenyra supposedly saying something epic by sharing the prophecy with Jace at home. I was like, nah. Arya and the realm was at war. Agreed. Like, if you even think about it, right? The Targaryens are not on the throne when the others, like, are destroyed in the show. So it doesn't really make sense. I don't know. Ashley, I'm sorry. I was considering putting out a community post in your name. It may not reach the peak of Game of Thrones, but it might have a better ending. Yeah, I agreed. Hopefully House of the Dragon at least stays at this quality for the... I hope it gets better, but at least if it stays at this quality the rest of the show, I mean, it will be more of a complete show than Game of Thrones was, yes. Radical, I don't think Aegon's Conquest could reach the heights of Game of Thrones. I just don't think it's as interesting as Game of Thrones is. Even though I love Aegon's Conquest, I just don't think it would ever be able to do it. I think a first Blackfire Rebellion could, but we'll see. Calling Cole Kingmaker could be a love letter to book fans, though. Yeah, but it's hollow. Me and Ricky talked about this last night on stream. Cole wasn't the kingmaker. He didn't have that speech to Aegon. So all he did was place a crown on, Aegon's head or whatever. Like, that's not, it reminds me as a book fan that, oh yeah, you didn't do that plot and I liked. So yeah, Andrew, I agree. I think every episode of season 1 is better than every episode of House of the Dragon. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think that's crazy. I think, that's a lot to live up to. I think Game of Thrones season 1 is about as perfect as you can get it. So, Aegon, you just let everyone know you stood me up. Hey, Ashley, I called him out already on his behavior. Not acceptable. Radical, I can tell you right now, not happening. Battle of the Goat will not be episode 8. I can tell you right now as a fact. They need to focus more on character development instead of forcing a connection with the GOT series. I cringe every time I hear the prince who was promised every god. I don't blame you. I don't like that plot line. I think distancing yourself from Game of Thrones is not a bad thing. I think, Joey, if we see any other battle, it'll be probably episode 8 with the Winter Wolves. I think that's probably the only other battle we'll see this season. Agreed. I think it'll be the fish feed, Matthew Stewart. That's kind of where I'm at. What would it have been like if the others invaded during the dance? It would have been very chaotic. And it would be hard to gauge what the characters would do. Based off the show, I think Rhaenyra would actually worry about the threat of the others because of, Aegon's dream. But show Rhaenyra, who was a little bit more selfish, was worried about the throne and getting revenge, all these things, I don't know how it would have played out in the book. I think in the book, it would be very detrimental. Or is there a Targaryen on the throne when the White Walkers come? Either way, there wasn't one on the throne when the White Walkers started doing their shit. So, so Andrew, you can fill in gaps, right? Like Dunk and Egg is, a story where we don't have the complete story, right? There's a lot of downtime in between, novella to novella. There's things that are hinted at that we haven't seen yet. So I think Dunk and Egg is going to be one of those things where you're going to adapt what you have, but you're also going to have to fill in things. You're going to have to, make up plots, right? Which is a little scary, but we don't have any canon for them to really break because there's not a lot we know in between the Dunk and Egg novellas or even after the Dunk and Egg novellas. So again, I just think you're going to probably just stretch it out, Andrew. I want a Blackfire Rebellion series for sure. I mean, I think Dunk and Egg could be a test for the Blackfire Rebellion. If it does well, maybe you kind of greenlight a Blackfire Rebellion stuff. Not flat booty Dario, never. Agreed, Otto, agreed. Maybe they're waiting to see if George is going to put out Fire and Blood Part 2. Maybe that's when they do it. I don't know. Is it possible there's no big event for Season 2's ending? Yeah, I've said this already. I think it's very plausible that we could see more of a build-up in the end of Season 2 to what is to come in Season 3. Because Season 3 is going to be the big season of the show. It's going to be the big season of the show. It's going to be kind of similar to either Season 4 of Game of Thrones or Season 3 in terms of the big moments of this time period. Show Nero, yeah, agreed. Yeah, Dakota, Ashley will actually kill you. She will actually kill you. Could Dunk and Egg ruin a potential Blackfire Rebellion? Because since it takes place a few years after the first Blackfire Rebellion, it would spoil a lot. Maybe. I mean, maybe that's true. Are you saying Season 3 could be a Storm? So I'm saying, that's kind of if you're going to do a comparison with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, a lot of your big moments are going to happen in Season 3. And so similar to a Game of Thrones, all the big moments of Game of Thrones were Storm of Swords. So yeah, but I don't think the quality is going to be the same. I don't know if House of the Dragon could ever reach Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire in that part of it. Grease, have you noticed that the showrunners or the show has gone with Mushroom's account on the big Corlys rumors? Makes me wonder if there will be a big reveal that he was in on Harrenhal's arson with Larys too. That would be interesting. I don't think he was, but that would be very interesting though. That would be interesting. That's a good thought. It's a good thought. All right, moving on. You guys had a lot to say. I didn't really get to progress much. So, we already talked about this a lot, so I won't bring it up too much more, but we do get to see kind of the horrors and aftermath of Duskendale as Lord Darkling is killed, calling Criston Cole the Kingmaker and all this stuff, and, yeah, no, it's fine. I liked him, like, just shitting in Cole's face. That was funny. But, yeah. We see Aegon, finding out the news of Harrenhal lashing out that, they've done nothing. Larys, did fuck all. And nobody's telling him anything, right? Aemond is announcing this plan that Aegon was not involved in. Clubfoot was not telling him what he was doing with Harrenhal and all this stuff. So Aegon is feeling very boxed in. He's feeling like, okay, how am I supposed to be a king if nobody's telling me anything? Nobody's respecting me, right? And Aemond, like, publicly to the council's face is just laying into him in High Valyrian, and Aegon's struggling even to respond back. It's just this Aegon is feeling like no one respects him, and he's losing his power, right? That's the big part of this. But Aemond is going to take action in his own hands. They're going to take Rook's Rest instead of going for Harrenhal instead. And we then see Alicent, who missed the meeting because of the moon tea she took. She's feeling a little, upset in the tummy. She had too much lamprey pie the night before. That'll do it to you. That's all I'm saying. That'll do it to you. And Larys is just kind of doing Larys things, right? He's being weird. He's figuring out exactly what happened here, that Alicent's taking moon tea, and, she's probably been sleeping with Criston Cole, and now she's doubting all this stuff about, if Viserys really meant Aegon to be king. And yeah, it's just Larys kind of, being his sly self, finding out information and just making everybody on screen uncomfortable and all of that. We then see Daemon having another vision as he follows someone, which he eventually realizes is just himself with just dressed up as Aemond, which I did find kind of a weird moment. Like, why is Daemon, of all things, dreaming about Aemond or himself as Aemond? It seems a little bit on the nose foreshadowing to, like, the stuff with Aemond later on in the story, especially when you think about a lot of Daemon's worst crimes or things he would be feeling like regretful about doesn't have anything to do with Aemond. Like, maybe he sees himself in Aemond and all of that, and maybe that's why. I just found that to be really weird. But then he runs into Alys, who, is first, it feels like, Daemon is like laying into her, trying to figure out who she is and all this stuff. But then it kind of switches where it's like Alys, like, poking into some of Daemon's, insecurities, right? That he wants kind of the crown, he wants the throne, and, his issues with Rhaenyra, right? As he's kind of fled to Harrenhal, not communicating with them at all. It's really interesting. I love the way we get kind of the background of Harrenhal, why it has this curse, or maybe how it has this curse with the old gods, because the trees were taken down, and so maybe this is the old gods getting their revenge. But also Alys Rivers as well seems to be some sort of, like, green seer, and also maybe even a warg based upon all the animals. She even calls herself an owl in a human body, which is very interesting description. Makes you kind of think of, like, Bran with his wolf, how he's always trying to go into his wolf. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. But then Daemon, he takes this liquid that she gives him, and all of a sudden we're in another scene, right? And so I love the way you feel the oddity. You feel like Daemon just being taken on this really weird trip where he's been drugged, more or less. And he's speaking with William Blackwood, a character that we met in the first season. And he's trying to basically aid Daemon, and Daemon's just completely out of it. It was really cool to see Laena again, even though she doesn't have much of a role in the episode. It was just cool to see her, as Daemon's maybe haunted by her as well. And so, we see William Blackwood just wanting revenge on the Brackens, and once that's done, he has their army and all this stuff. So yeah, just forwarding the plot, but also delving into Daemon's kind of mind, which I really do enjoy as well. We then flip back to Aegon as he's at the council, and he's just kind of had enough, right? Just talking of these issues, but Aegon is just bored of it. He's tired of it. He leaves. He lashes out, and that is kind of the end of it, right? But what we do get in that, besides that, if you pay attention, is kind of how stretched King's Landing is getting. The blockade is taking its toll in terms of they're not, being able to get all the sheep and things to feed the dragons. In terms of their coin seems to be running low. They're in a really bad state because of the blockade. We then see Alicent looking for Viserys' books. Yeah, once again, trying to find out what Aegon's dream is and if there's any information on it. But she can't find anything. And, well, specifically because Aegon had already disposed. He didn't burn them, but he disposed of Viserys' books already. And Alicent just comes off as and really an asshole of a mother. Like, Aegon is obviously having an issue, right? Where all these issues I've talked about so far in the live stream, it's all kind of just peaking to this moment right now. And, there's one last chance for somebody to comfort him or to give him, good advice. And Alicent just scolds him, treats him like nothing, And it just breaks down Aegon, where she's telling him to just do nothing because he's an idiot. Everybody else is better than him, more or less. And all this stuff. And it just, I think, pokes a nerve in Aegon, right? That he's being talked down to all the time, and he's never getting respect, any of these things. And that's going to kind of get into why he leaves, right? So we're going to see another scene later on, intercut with, like, Rhaenyra's kind of speech to Jace. But he decides to go to Rook's Rest and to actually do something instead of doing nothing. We see Cole and his forces approaching Rook's Rest, and this seems to be different because we know up to now he's been attacking at night or in the cover of the trees, and now he's telling them to march and take the city without that. So obviously, if you're anyone in this army, you're going, what? We're doing what now? Rook's Rest is right next to Dragonstone. It's not going to take very long for them to send a dragon over. We are going to get absolutely wrecked. And that's what Gwaine Hightower's thinking, right? He's saying, like, why are we doing that? That doesn't make any sense. As it's just suicide. But either way, Cole has them advance and does not tell him anything. And we see kind of a bunch of things happening, right? As, we get to the council, and Rhaenyra finally has returned. Apparently it's been days. This is something I don't understand. How did it take days for Rhaenyra to get back? Daemon was able to get back, it seems like, in a matter of hours. He got there in a couple hours. He comes back in a couple hours. But not that far from King's Landing. So why did it take days? That was specifically mentioned here. I thought that was very weird. But they talk a little bit about, Rhaenyra, why she goes. And she goes because she needed to know that there was no chance of peace, which she knows now. You have Jace kind of laying into her and all this stuff. And basically, it comes down to this point where Rook's Rest is under attack, and they need a dragon to go fix the issue because Rhaenyra's been gone, and all these other castles are being taken by Cole. And at first, Rhaenyra wants to go, but she's too valuable. They can't risk her dying. And then Jace wants to go, but then Rhaenyra won't allow it because, well, she's her son, or he's her son. And so Rhaenys is basically forced to go, but it's kind of like Rhaenys asked to go, I guess, because she's really the only option outside of maybe like Baela right now. And this is all kind of like cut. We then get kind of a bunch of scenes being cut together. We see Aegon, deciding he's going to go to war. We have, Rhaenyra telling Jace about the dream of Aegon. We talked about this already, so I'm not going to go too much into it. We see Rhaenys and Aegon mirroring each other as they're both, with their dragons and having this connection with the two. It looks great, right? Especially seeing Sunfire for the first time. Wish we would have seen Sunfire before it gets all messed up, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, it's great to see the connections between the two dragons, or I guess the dragon and their rider, and the other dragon, their rider. You can definitely see the bond between both. But we also see during this that Cole marching on Rook's Rest. And at this point, we see Meleys and Sunfire flying to battle. We see the battle raging on as man after man is shot by arrows, really showing like how brutal it would be to actually approach a castle when you have no cover besides your shield. You have, all these archers that are in cover shooting down on you. It is a horrifying scene. That's without Dragonfire, by the way. That's just normal warfare. Just looks, it's pretty awful. But yeah. And, it seems like they're approaching good enough, and they might have a chance to take the castle until Rhaenys arrives, changing the battle. But at this, Cole sounds the signal to Aemond. And before we finish out the episode, let me catch you back up on chat. I wanted to get through a good amount of stuff before, I went back to chat. All right. Butcher's Ball for season 5 finale, please and thank you. That would be cool. That would be cool. I guess I missed that comment. Hold on. I'm not even talking shit about Rhaenys. I'm saying she died like most everyone who dies in the story, brave but kind of dumb. She didn't have to die. She said it herself. 2 dragons could have a chance. Rhaenys could have, after dealing with Sunfire, could have definitely left, but she didn't. Now, maybe she was trying to leave, and that's when, Vhagar caught her. But, I don't know. She should have flown up higher and just left. I don't know. This episode made me hate Alicent. Alicent's just kind of an asshole. That's all I gotta say. Terrible mother. No, Daeron is not the child of Cole, and let's just continue. I agree. Radical, the Kingmaker thing felt forced. I'm done trying to sympathize with Alicent. Yeah. I can't wait to see other great houses. Yes, that'd be awesome. If we get more, the minor houses, that'd be really cool. After episode 4, you getting an idea of how season 2 could end? Yeah, I think based upon where we are at the story, I just think maybe we'll have one more minor battle, and then we'll kind of finish it out, really prepare for season 3. I think this was really this probably is the climax of the season, in my opinion. It probably is. Ryan Connell said in the inside of the episode that Daemon partly made Aemond what he is. How? Like, you could say that maybe Aemond looked up to Daemon, and that's how he tried to carry himself, but that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me. You got to give me some rationale, Ryan, before I can believe that one. Ashley, you're the second person now to have the theory of the weirwood paste. That's kind of crazy. I might have to make a video on it. I do want to make a video about Harrenhal. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it this week or I'll wait till next week to do it. Yes, Radical. I'm surprised Laris didn't ask Alice. Dude, Dylan, I was watching the episode. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to get foot stuff. Because she was kind of like sitting down and he was like about to like ask something. And I was like, oh my God, please don't do it again. Please don't do it again. I was going to cringe so much. Where the heck is that filthy Aegon? He's around, don't worry. Honestly, Alicent hates her son. Imagine if Joffrey was talked to by his mom like that. Dude, Alicent would like have her hands chopped off if she talked like that to Joffrey. It's possible, Matthew. Was there a 2-week time skip between episode 3 and 4 since Simon Strong said Kristen's host left King's Landing a fortnight ago? No, it's probably about a couple days because Rhaenyra, when she gets, or multiple times they reference that Rhaenyra has been gone for multiple days, so I would guess it's probably like 3 or 4 days or something like that. The battle setup scenes were epic, agreed. They were very good. They were really well done. The fact that we only saw a little of Sunfire and Aegon is so sad because their bond seems so sweet. Agreed. Again, we should have saw Sunfire at Aegon's coronation, but no, we did not. Unfortunately, we got to see Melee's killing a bunch of people for some reason. Yeah. So basically, given Rhaenyra making it back in a few days, we know Harold Westerling would be at Dragonstone if he was going there. Or if he were going there. Yes, I agree. A reviewer said Rhaenys is a hero. How? On what planet is Rhaenys a hero? If as Ramsay once said, if you haven't been paying attention to this story because it don't have a happy ending, and Rhaenys was not a hero in this story. Rhaenys is a I would say a heroic character in the book, not in this show. She killed like hundreds of people and seemed to have no remorse about it. So, kinda, Should Rook's Rest have been the season? No. Radical. You would have had to have a lot of filler to get to that point. I feel like Rhaenys didn't want to leave because she felt guilty for not killing them in episode 9, and now she blames herself that Luke got killed. Maybe. Bold predictions for episode 5. I honestly don't have any like bold predictions. Like my bold prediction going into this episode, that was that like what you guys were telling me and what we were kind of like theory crafting, that Aemond was going to betray Aegon. That was like my bold prediction for episode 4. Episode 5, like I don't have any like bold predictions yet. I think we're going to see a lot of like Aemond manipulation in King's Landing in terms of how events went down. I think we're going to see Criston Cole like in a really bad place where he's like rethinking everything about what has just transpired with war and what's actually going on. I think you're going to see, Corlys and Rhaenyra. I think they're going to have a big scene, right? Corlys really loved Rhaenys. That seems to be proven. He's going to have a really bitter reaction, in my opinion, to what just transpired. So I think there's going to be a lot of big character moments in the next episode. That makes Rhaenys brave, in my opinion, but that doesn't make her a hero. Agreed, Ashley. But Ashley, I wish you would have gotten the character that you deserve. That's all I got to say. Yeah, it'll be the characters dealing with the aftermath of Rook's Rest. Yeah, Corlys will be mad at Rhaenyra. Yeah, Matthew, I definitely think we're going to see more of that triarchy plot going on, and also the Vale and some of the Dragon Seas and all that. Agreed. Fuck that guy, Criston Cole. That's all I got to say. Sorry, Dakota. I'll watch my language. I don't know why, but Ghost, you saying that's my golden boy right there is like there's like some movie quote in my head now, but I just don't know what like movie it is, or I can distinctively like hear the person's voice, just don't know what it's from now. Oh, Harry Potter, Cedric Diggory's death. You reminded me of that. Where like his dad comes down, and he's like, "My boy," or whatever he says. It should be a banger, Matthew. It should be a banger. The trailer for next week looks good. I agree. It does look really good. It does look very good. All right, moving on. Let's finish this episode out. All right, so we then see Aemond and Vhagar get the alarm. It looks like he's about to kick into action, but then he sees Aegon, who he calls an idiot, which is like, okay, it's a little unfair to Aegon. Like, he didn't know what was going on here, right? He didn't know the plan because nobody told him the stupid plan. It's like Edmure and Robb all over again. But, and then he puts Vhagar back into, park. He does the parking gear, and he says park, and waits it out a little bit. He's gonna let Sunfire take the first brunt of the battle. That's all I'm saying. Aegon then flies into battle against Meleys as the two dragons begin battle, as Cole rallies his men, announcing the king's arrival. Because they were definitely routing at this point, right? You see a dragon, my ass is coming nowhere near open. If I see a dragon in the sky, I think some of the soldiers that like looked up and saw the dragon coming and were still like messing around with the castle, brave lads. If I saw a dragon in the sky, You best be knowing I'm going to the trees. I'm gone. I am gone. Ain't. Nope. No. Not. I don't care. Christian Cole would have been waving around his sword going, oh, the king's here. I don't give a shit. Like, I would have been like, no, I don't care. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. You dragon people, you can do this. Me? I'm already dealing with arrows being shot from like every single direction. Now I got to worry about a dragon either coming down on me or firing me. It's not happening. It's not happening. I don't get paid enough for this. That would have been my reaction to fighting on the ground here. But yeah, but Sunfire tries to burn Rhaenys, which doesn't really seem to have any impact, as it just seems like Rhaenys and Meleys are just too much to handle for Sunfire, which is just true. Meleys has more experience. Rhaenys is a more experienced dragon rider. And you kind of see what's going to start happening. I mean, Rhaenys and Meleys, you know, like their names kind of go together once again. They basically come up from under Sunfire, and Meleys just starts rocking them, you know, scratching them, everything. And at this point, we see Vhagar appear. You know, he has this badass appearance where the whole ground and trees seem to be shaking as Vhagar takes flight. Aemon flies towards the two dragons in the middle of the fight, as Meleys is kind of killing Sunfire. Aegon was going to die here in a second anyway. So actually this probably was to Aegon's benefit, because he is going to live. But Aemon, instead of maybe, you know, with Vhagar trying to pull Meleys off of him, decides to instead roast them both. And this is what more or less sends Sunfire and Aegon going to the ground. And yeah, it's not great. So at this point then, after Sunfire falls to the ground, Vhagar and Meleys line up for their fight. The two attack, with both kind of getting some hits in here, but it definitely seems like maybe Vhagar's getting the best of Meleys. You know, Meleys has already had to fight Sunfire. Meleys is probably quite tired and still took, you know, maybe a couple scratches and things like that. Definitely wasn't the most even of fights for Meleys. And, you know, they're fighting for control. And at this point, we see Cole running towards Aegon, but is thrown off his horse as Vhagar falls to the ground, but is unharmed, it'd appear. Well, okay, I shouldn't say unharmed, but weakened, but not weakened enough. But Vhagar seems to move to an unspecified location at this time. We then see Meleys fly away and returning to the battlefield covered in smoke. Rhaenys is struggling to see, like, pretty much anything at this time, right? You're, like, looking down, you know, you're struggling to see because of smoke. And, you know, Rhaenys looks to be flying towards kind of the ocean to the castle. And at this moment, Vhagar just pops out and gets Meleys in the neck. And at that point, you're kind of fucked. You're kind of fucked. As soon as a dragon has your dragon by the neck, especially Vhagar, one of the most powerful dragons, you're not going to be able to scratch your way out of it. We get one last look between Meleys and Rhaenys as the two die and fall to the ground. Well, I guess we don't see Rhaenys' body, so based off of Game of Thrones logic, Rhaenys could be alive. Maybe. Possible. But at this, Vhagar flies off and it cuts to black. Cole wakes and watches the horror unfolding as the carnage of the battle rages all around him. He sees, you know, them trying to take the castle, and he tries to struggle to find people to help him go find Aegon. He stumbles across basically a corpse burnt to the crisp. Crispy Cole would know all about that. And he finds, as we end out the episode, Aemon in front of Aegon with his sword out, which is interesting. It seems to imply maybe Aemon was coming to kill Aegon, and maybe stops because Cole walked up, or maybe he saw the dagger. But he gets the dagger, and Cole asks where Aegon is, and he points. And we see Sunfire and Aegon in quite a bad state. We don't get a great look at them, but it's not looking good as Cole drops to his knees as Aemon walks off, ending the episode. Very strong end to the episode. You know, some questions I may have as to what Aemon's motivations were with his sword out, you know, right next to his brother. Maybe he was trying to finish him off. I don't know. let me get to where I stopped at the chat. And the Hogwarts band just kept playing. That's right, Fizzle. They knew what their job was. They were trying to pass the band class. They can't stop playing, or they got to redo it. Aegon looks like a dork in that crown. I do agree. I don't think his helmet looked that great. It looked like it was just very badly 3D printed, in my opinion, but I don't know. Ashley's favorite characters kind of suck, though. No disrespect to her, but Stannis, not cool. Rhaenys kills civilians. Gotta have better choices like House. Whoa, Dakota. Rhaenys and Stannis are fantastic. They're the best characters. How the hell didn't Cole die while he was knocked out? I mean, if I okay, let's go back to the scenario, Radical. Let's say I'm an archer. You know, for what's going on right now. I'm an archer. Okay. I'm out here and I'm looking and I'm like, shit, man, there's dragons up in the sky. Like, they're coming crashing to the ground. I'm not seeing nothing. There's no shot that I am doing shit. I'm just saying. It's such an underrated moment from the dance. My opinion, Bela is going to be super. Yeah, Bela is going to be super pissed. I agree. Agreed, Radical. Hasn't been a few generations since people have witnessed much dragon destruction. People tend to forget history that they haven't experienced. Cole got dragon slapped. Damn straight, Gryffindor. Damn straight. I agree, Radical. Aemon did look like he was going to kill him. Agreed, Matthew. I think Ewan Mitchell does a great job with the character. Grease, there wasn't that much smoke. She should have been able to see Vhagar. I mean, I wish she would have seen Vhagar, but she didn't. So that's just how it's got to go. Now Rhaenys is a burnt pile of ash. Sorry, Grease. She could be alive. Robbie, I would put it out as I think that Aemon just viewed Aegon as being useless. Like, at that moment, it's like he can take the power to where he's calling the shots, and it would be more efficient than having both their dragons. Why didn't Sir Criston kill Aemon for treason? He saw him try to kill his king. Well, Criston's not the most honorable guy, Ashley. That's why. I got the impression that Aemon knew he needed to separate the dragons before Meleys finished the job. Seems that's why he used flame rather than just charging in and chomping Meleys in half. I do agree to an extent, right? Because I think Aegon was going to die. If that fight continued, Aegon was going to basically plummet to the ground, die. There was no shot he was going to live. His dragon was going to die as well. So I think, you know, it's part of it. If you're Aemon, it's like you're kind of knocking out two birds with one stone, right? You can kind of get some revenge on your brother, kind of get him out of the war, and then you also can, you know, maybe save his life as well. He's Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. It's his job. Well, Ashley, his job does not also entail, you know, messing around with the queen. So, like I said, not the most honorable guy. Also saying, you know, calling, you know, the one true queen, Rhaenyra, bad names. It's also not a good look. I feel like Rhaenys and Meleys could have escaped. Yeah, definitely could, right? Like, I think Rhaenys, it's hard to kind of track because we're not in Rhaenys' head, but she might have been trying to retreat like when she was going past the castle, right? Once she didn't see them in the battlefield, and maybe she was thinking, okay, let me go back, right? We just don't know, Wolf. That's one of those, you know, weird things. Reese, you'd be the first one to die about probably. With my arthritis in my back, dude, I'm not pulling arrows for like 15 minutes. It's not happening. And like, I'm gonna be honest, all that armor on me as well, I'd probably want to die like about 15 minutes in the battle anyway. Will they retrieve her remains? Bela may try. But we already know that the head of the dragon is going to be going to King's Landing, so. I'm kind of joking, Dakota, but it's more for Ashley's, like, happiness, you know? I agree, Ashley. I do think, like, he was trying to kill his brother. I do agree. But, you know, there's other interpretations of what could have happened. Of course. He's always name-calling Rhaenyra, slandering her. That's all I gotta say. She could be alive. She could be alive. Crazier shit's happened. I'm just saying, Aegon lived. My boy crashed as well. Aegon lived. My boy got burnt to a crisp and fell out of the sky. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Daemon telling this Tully to speed along his inheritance is crazy. I thought that was so funny. I'm not gonna lie. Jon Snow lived. That's true. Since when do we lie for the sake of Ashley? Well, Ashley's the GOAT, so I'll lie for Ashley. It's fine. But why did Meleys explode? Well, Meleys was a nuke. But yeah. So, that is my review of the episode. I think fantastic episode. Had maybe like a couple minor nitpicks that I think were not great. But I think the episode was pretty good. I think it was definitely a step up from episode 3. Probably the second best of the season for me. And yeah, I will see you guys all in the next stream. Next stream is going to be kind of a big one. It's going to be a recording stream. It's going to be like a video stream, right? Because we're going to talk about my thoughts on A Game of Thrones. We're going to go through maybe... I don't think we're going to get through all the chapters. I was thinking maybe do chapter ranking on stream, but that's going to take a long time. But we might just do my actual summary of A Game of Thrones, what I thought about it and all that. And so, yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy the stream as usual. And I'll see you guys.